Hi guys, and welcome to All About the Philippines. Now today we're going to talk about secrets of a successful LDR or long distance relationship with a Filipina. So more and more men from all over the world are seeking Filipinas for a relationship with. And of course this always starts off as a long distance relationship. And not all long distance relationships will stand the test of time. It is a more difficult thing in a lot of aspects for people to deal with, but for me personally, I actually found it to be not as challenging as what people would think. And while yes, it was hard at some points, but overall it was quite manageable and a very enjoyable experience. So I'm going to share with you the secrets that I found were very useful in making a successful long distance relationship with my Filipina, who is now my wife. So the most important point really is finding the right person. So finding that right Filipina, or for the Filipina, finding the right man. That is crucial, as in any relationship. Now I know some men and some Filipinas will really rush into this. They feel that there's a need to find a partner or a wife or whatever. Well, my advice is to everybody, slow right down, because the faster you jump into something, the more likely it's not going to work. And really, what is the hurry? So there's plenty of places you can find the right person, as we spoke about in other videos, and you can check out my relationship playlist here. There's over 60 videos in there, and you'll see videos in there about places to find foreigners or places to find Filipinas. You can find on Facebook, even on YouTube, through to various dating sites that can be effective, or a great starting point at least. You can check in the description below. I've put in there a Christian Filipina link, which I have many members here on our YouTube channel who have used that site and highly recommend it as well. So if you want to start your search there, it's free to join up and view thousands of profiles, so check that link below. So the second thing is, once you've actually found the right Filipina, or the Filipinas found the right guy, it's important to stay connected to each other. Now, what I mean by connected is that you don't go days on end without talking to each other. You've got to keep connected. In a long distance relationship, you don't have that physical touch, so that's gone. So you need to stay connected on video chat, even emails, or just through Messenger. You need to do that on a daily basis, is my advice, to stay connected. You don't have to talk all night with each other. You can talk for maybe half an hour to an hour, and you really want to be catching up with what's going on in your lives. So you feel connected to that person. You know what's happening in her life. She knows what's happening in your life, and that's really keeping that connection going between the two of you. If that stops or it slows down, the whole rhythm of that relationship is going to be broken, and then it's going to, little problems and doubt is going to creep into each other's minds to whether the relationship is right or not, or whether they've still got trust in each other, all those sorts of things. So you really need that daily contact, so you need to make time for each other. And it's really important to celebrate your milestones together. So if you've been a couple officially for 6 months, celebrate that online with each other. Put a nice little post on her Facebook wall, chat with each other and celebrate with each other those milestones. Very, very important. Then going further on from that, set goals together as a couple. You really need to be setting goals. If you don't have goals together, you're just going nowhere. You're just really both wondering, oh, where's this relationship leading to? Is it going anywhere? Or are we just staying where we are and it's never going to go any further? So you really need to have those worked out. You sit down with each other and get those details together, and especially planning for the future. That's the important thing at this stage, so you're on the same page as far as your relationship goes. Work out times of the year where you can actually be together. So when you're going to go to the Philippines to visit her and her family and get to know them a bit more, set those times together so you know exactly when they're going to be, and you've both got something to look forward to. So make sure that you be intimate with each other. By intimate, I mean you're sharing details of your life together. You're talking to each other about things that have happened in your life previously, things that are happening at the moment in your life, you know, your life as a child, all that sort of stuff. The intimate details that you only share with your partner. Now, I'm not talking about doing that in the first 5 minutes of knowing someone. This is as you go down that relationship path. You start to share those details, and that's very, very important, because that maintains it connects you together in a more intimate way, and it's showing that you're trusting that person with these details in your life. So when you're together, so the times you're together, you've got to make that quality time. You don't want to be wasting time by having silly little arguments, or arguing about where we're going out, or what we're having for dinner, or just silly little arguments. You leave that behind. When you're together, you're there for a short time together. Usually it's only 1 or 2 weeks, 3 if you're lucky, and make that really good quality time. So when you're not there, that binds you together and gives you, very important to have that quality time. Of course, visit each other's country. So you've gone to the Philippines to visit her country. Well, she needs to come at some point to visit your country, so she can see what it's like in your country, where you come from, meet your family. So she's got a real good idea now of what your life is like and what it has been like in your country. So that's really, really important as well. It's pointless going into a relationship and going to have a future together if she's never coming to your country, or she's never seen your country, and more particularly if the plan is to bring her to your country, then you need to see how she goes in your country, how she finds it. A real important one is to be patient and understanding about her culture and her language. She may not speak the greatest English. She most probably speak English, but might not be at the high level that you might be used to. So you've got to be pretty patient and understanding around that, and help her to improve the way she speaks in her English and understands English, as well as being understanding of her culture as well, and their ways of doing things, which is quite different to your way in the West. So learn those things and be respectful of them. Allow her to have those cultural differences that really is probably what attracted us to the Philippines in the first place. And going along with that is being respectful of the families. So don't put her family or her family members down at all. That's her family. You wouldn't like it if she's putting yours down. So it goes both ways. Never put her family or family members down. You may not like something that one of the family members are doing. Well, talk to her about that, but don't do it in a criticising or negative way. You know, there's ways to talk about things like that in a sensitive manner, because if you don't, you're going to find that it's going to start to destroy the relationship and start to bring resentment in. She's going to be thinking, oh, he doesn't like my family, you know, and that family is very, very important to Filipinas. And don't put the Philippines in general down to her. That's her country. She loves her country. Filipinos are very, very patriotic when it comes to their country. You know, like all countries, it's got its downfalls. We all know that. It doesn't need to be pointed out and shoved in your face. And Filipinos are far more sensitive about that sort of thing than what you'll find in the West. So be aware of that and be respectful of that, and don't shove that in her face. Focus on the positive things in the Philippines, and there is a lot of positive stuff in the Philippines that you can focus on. So the next thing is send her gifts. So occasionally send her gifts. You don't send them all the time, but every now and again you might send something nice to her for a birthday or Christmas or whatever. Or maybe she would prefer a little bit of cash to buy something for herself if you don't want to send it through the post, and that's fine to do. It's no different that if you're in a relationship here in your own country with a woman, you would buy her a gift and you would give that to her for a birthday. So really, what's the difference? Do the same sort of thing, and that keeps that connection going, and it keeps building that relationship. So after a period of time, you might have been dating for 6, 7, 8 months, maybe a year, you might decide it's time to actually give her a little bit of a help with her, you know, finances a little bit. Now, we're not talking about a massive amount, we're talking about maybe just a small monthly allowance. Now, you might want to help upgrade her from where she's living into a nicer apartment. I can give you an example. My wife, when I first met her, was living in a very small boarding house, and it was a very small room, no kitchen, no toilet in there. You had to use common toilet, and you had to go out and eat, go and buy food in the street to eat. Now this boarding house, I actually went and saw that on my first trip there, and I was appalled by it, to be honest. It was a fire hazard, and I was worried that what would happen if that place caught on fire. Well, she would be dead, without a doubt. But that was all she could afford to live in Makati, which is not far from her work. So that was her life. That's how she was living. And I was worried, as I say, if a fire caught on, then there'd be a lot of trouble. And I remember coming back from my first trip to the Philippines. I'd known her for around about 8 or 9 months at that point, and I came back, and all the way on the plane I was worried about that, thinking, what if that place catches fire? You cannot get out of there. So I spoke to her and said to her, look, you and your sister are paying 2,000 pesos each for this boarding house. That's 4,000 pesos. What if I put in an extra 4,000 or 5,000 a month, and you go and find a better place to live in, which is not so dangerous, let's call it. And she was a bit reluctant at the start, but I said, this is more for me than you. I really need to feel comfortable you're going to be okay. And she did agree to that in the end, and they did go and find a much nicer place. It was bigger, it had its own little kitchen, it had its own toilet, shower, and it was quite clean, and it definitely wasn't a fire hazard. So I was happier with that, and she and her sister were happy with that. And I think that's the sort of thing you can do to help make a difference in her life once you've got that relationship going, and you really care for each other, and you are starting to think, well, hang on, we could be going into marriage here. Then that's the time to be doing it. And it doesn't have to necessarily be for a unit. It could be just for her living expenses. She might be already in a place that's quite safe and okay to live. That's fine. You don't want to move her out of that if she's happy there. So you might just want to say, well, here's a few thousand pesos a month to help with your expenses of going to work, or to buy some extra food, or whatever the case may be. It just shows that you are caring for her while she's there. The last secret for a successful long-distance relationship with your Filipina is don't break any promises. So if you make a promise, so you say, I'm going to talk to you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, you be there at 6 o'clock. Don't make a promise where you say, I'm going to come to the Philippines in October this year on this date, and then break and say, sorry, I can't come. Those sorts of promises are really important to keep when you're in a long distance relationship, because it keeps the trust up. She knows that if you say something, then you mean it and you're going to do it. If you're not, if you say I'm going to come to the Philippines, and then you turn around and say I don't, she's going to start to wonder why. And there may be nothing in it, maybe some, something genuine, but you've really got to try and keep those dates set for each other, because remember, if it's something like going to the Philippines, she's been looking forward to that for months. So by breaking that is going to be really difficult for her to come to terms with. And if you're serious about the relationship, then that relationship's got to be put on a high priority. There may be something occasionally where something really big comes up, you might have to break that promise, and I'm sure she would understand that, but don't make a habit of doing that, and generally you need to keep all those promises, especially going to the Philippines, to keep the relationship going in a strong way. Hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. Don't forget to leave your comments below. Let's be respectful, but I'd like to hear what everyone's got to say about this. If you've got any other secrets of a long distance relationship, then pop your secrets below. Don't forget to share the video around with anyone who may find it interesting. Of course, give it a like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and the notification bell to get more videos. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Appreciate all your support. Take care, and bye for now.